transport system called Metro.
Engineering work on the surface has caused some train services to be withdrawn until Metro phases are completed.
Metro is the hub of a unique public transport network.
Especially important are the big new transport interchanges at 4-lane ends
To carry Tyne and Wear's transport system into the next century.
The Tyne and Wear Metro is a transport system that operates in the northeast of England. This connects Newcastle to the coast as well as to Sunderland. The Metro opened in 1980 with a strong sense of visual identity provided by Margaret Culvert. This branding was also incorporated into the stations along the network. There are three distinctive periods in the architectural history of the Tyne and Wear Metro that really tell the story of this transport system. And how are they being lost to time? A core part of the Metro network actually dates back to the 1800s. Train lines were constructed from Newcastle out to the coast. Stations were constructed along this in a Victorian architectural style with ornate chimneys and grand entrances and canopies. These were obviously built with the necessities of the time, which included waiting rooms, ticket offices and other spaces built into the stations. Tynemouth Metro Station is a key example of this, with its glass canopy that sits above the station platforms. Another highlight of this metro station is the wooden footbridge that connects the two platforms together. Whitley Bay and Monkseaton both feature their original northeastern railway stations that have been retained as part of the Metro network. These spaces, as I said before, had waiting rooms and other facilities which have now been converted into pubs and restaurants within these stations. The stations along the coast had operated for around 100 years before the Tyne and Wear Metro started construction. At the time, there was a plan to demolish the historic stations at the coast and replace them with new stations designed by the Metro. I'm not sure if this was ever a formalised idea or the rumours were of demolition, as I couldn't find much about this. However, the overall original stations were saved.
Some existing railway stations were given facelifts to bring them up to standard.
And they have now small design motifs that let you know you're part of the Metro network, including the iconic branding, the Culvert font and the iconic yellow cubes.
In addition to 7 new underground stations, many extra surface stations were built. Station facilities are attractive but functional.
The next phase of the Metro's architectural history really comes from the construction of the Metro itself. During the planning phase of the Metro, it was considered necessary for a design guide to be created. This was produced by local architects Faulkner Browns. This design guide featured a kit of materials, sometimes referred as the Metro kit, of materials they should have used in these stations to create the distinct visual identity. Inspiration for some of the stations is said to harken back to Ludwig Miles van der Rohe and his schemes, which often feature glass curtain walls. These metro stations obviously feature these repeating materials, with the signature stations and interchanges featuring the glass curtain walls, white and yellow coloured panelling, as well as distinctive lighting arrangements. Jesmond Metro Station is a core example of this, with its glass curtain walls which overlook a landscaped area to the rear of the metro station. This site is situated just outside of Newcastle city centre and serves the residential area of Jesmond. The setting of the overall metro stations is improved by the glass curtain wall, which allows light into the concourse of the station. This features a small retail unit as part of the metro station and escalators down to the two platforms. The original metro system was part of a fully integrated network of feeder buses that led to metro stations, as well as park and ride arrangements.
But for Tyne and Wear, the choice in the end was a light rail transit system supported by a network of feeder bus services.
4-lane ends in Benton is an example of one of these park and ride as well as interchange metro stations. The intention of this is to allow for passengers to change between different modes. The internal design features glass curtain walls similar to Jesmond Metro Station. However, due to the increased size of this, there was also these large columns that hold up the roof of this building. Whilst Four Lane Ends and Jesmond Metro Station sit in very different urban contexts, they again feature this Metro kit material palette. These materials make it instantly recognisable as a Tyne and Wear Metro station. Even to this day, 40 years after some of these stations opened, there's an incredible sense of place that you've arrived at the Metro network. Monument Metro Station is the key city centre station on the network. This is located underneath Gray's Monument within the city centre. This features two staircases that lead down from the outside into the ticket hall level. Instantly walking down these staircases, you exit from Grangertown and the historic city centre into the metro and the real sense of place that comes from this metro station. However, unfortunately, Monument is one of the few metro stations in the city centre to still have its original material palette and not be upgraded, which I'll come to later. The other part of the original metro design and characteristics is the appearance of the smaller metro stations. These often feature a more utilitarian approach. These have a greater use of concrete and dark coloured bricks as hard-wearing materials. These feature smaller areas for the ticket machines, sometimes located just to the edge of the platforms. Chillingham Road is an example of these more utilitarian style of metro stations. This is located in the residential area of Heaton, bordering on to the formerly industrial areas surrounding Shields Road. This features a small ticket area to both platforms, a concrete footbridge that links them, and then a small covered canopy area above the station. This has been modernised with some of the new materials and the coloured panels. An interesting part of all this is the use of these panels that you see, and the reason for using these within the station was they were able to be almost anti-vandalism, that if these panels got damaged they could simply take them off and replace them, allowing for sort of this constant rolling maintenance of the station. There are even more utilitarian stations that exist than this. These feature often little more than a bus shelter sized canopy above part of the platform. Ticket machines, as I mentioned before, are often located on the platform here as well. These are normally quieter stations where there are less passenger numbers, and therefore the space dedicated to these stations is a lot more limited. Wallsend Station is an example of these more utilitarian style still, featuring these dark coloured bricks, again the use of concrete, and the overall shelter above the platforms is very limited to just above the ticket area really. However, now we're reaching a point where this original metro design and architectural style is starting to be lost.
Transport problems in other environments, other cities and other countries. For many, a modern rapid transit system is the way forward.
The metro has received obviously a number of new stations since it opened in 1980 and has been expanded several times, including to the airport as well as to Sunderland. In order to modernise some of these stations though, there have been a rolling programme of upgrades, and these have strayed away from the metro kit materials into a new utilitarian design. This can be seen in its most destructive form at Haymarket Metro Station. Haymarket Metro Station was originally built in a modernist style by architects Faulkner Browns. This consisted of a low-slung cylindrical pavilion with a thick roof which housed the station services. The tinted windows provided a modern feel to the station. However, this metro station was demolished in 2007 and replaced by a new design. This new building featured a mixed-use building constructed of glass panels of a different style to the metro kit parts, the result of which was really the first large stray away from the metro kit materials into a disjointed material palette. North Shields Metro Station is another example of a station which has been rebuilt. This was rebuilt in 2012. North Shields features a white render and curved roof canopies above the platforms. This again lacks the metro kit materials that provided that distinctive sense of place from the original metro stations. Adjacent to the site as well is the new bus interchange, which has recently started construction. This again features a set of materials and a design that doesn't relate back to the other metro stations. The further erosion of character has taken place at new interchanges such as Park Lane and South Shields, each of which has its own architectural style. The non-ramped interchanges such as Four Lane Ends, Regent Centre and Gateshead all feel distinctively part of the Tyne and Wear Metro. However, the new interchanges at Park Lane and South Shields don't have that sense of place that guides you and tells you you're in a metro station. If it wasn't for the Calvert branding and that yellow box, it doesn't feel like part of the metro network. Now, you might be wondering, why does it matter if these materials aren't the same? The point is, a sense of place can provide its own form of wayfinding. Walking down into a metro station and seeing the same panels, the same font and the same materials can actually assist in wayfinding around the materials, and it can let you know you're actually at a metro station before you read the signs to know where you actually are. Now, you might be wondering at this point, what is the future if these continued erosion of character take place? Will the original metro stations all be eventually revamped into these new disjointed styles? And really the only thing we can hope for is the most iconic of these designs are listed to preserve them. So for example, Jesmond Metro Station is a core example of the design principles and therefore I believe should be listed.
For many, a modern rapid transit system is the way forward.